Hey everyone, welcome to the Wills Podcast. This is a space where we explore leadership, logistics, family business, and much more. Today I'm joined with Maria Malesevic, and Maria and I get to talk a little bit today about family, working in the business, our own leadership development, and she speaks about a really key Techdinamics user conference coming up in September. Glad you could join.
Thanks, Jordy. Excited to be here.
Well, welcome to the Wills Podcast, Maria. I'm joined here today with Maria Malesevic, and we got to know each other over the last few years through the IWLA, International Warehouse Logistics Association, and we see each other at functions. We do high fives or hugs, and we usually have a chat. We've probably talked more family than we have business, and the nature of having young kids and navigating career and quite frankly sometimes kids and where the family at is some of the fun stuff to talk about. So we're going to actually show an image on the screen of the actual very first time, because we have it on camera. Someone asked me to take a picture and there was a parrot involved, and we're on a beach and Heidi was there and some of your other Tech Dynamic homies were there.
Homies.
That's what you guys call each other, right? My 8-year-old called me out recently, just this morning. He's like, people don't say that. And he's 8.
Homies?
It wasn't homies. It was another word, but he reminded me that people don't say that. And it's like, but where do you go with that? Like, how can I validate that this 8-year-old knows, what what the latest is? So,
I think you need to trust him.
so Maria, have you been on a podcast before?
I have. Yes.
Which ones?
I was recently on Snap Fulfill's podcast. I've been on Camelot's podcast, a couple of our WMS partners. And I'm going to be on one actually next month as well for IWLA.
Okay,
I've
it's
been
good.
IWLA the best.
It's good. We got you slotted in then. Whew.
I don't know why people are asking me to come on, but I'm very excited to be here, Jordy. You explained it perfectly. For us, it feels more like a friendship family connection, even though the reality is it's a professional one. So I'm happy it's Monday. I think I'm on my 3rd cup of coffee, which, talking about kids, mornings start early. You would think I'd be a lot more wired. I'm not, but I am happy to be here.
And what's a good home coffee? How do you do that? How do you brew that?
Nice espresso machine. What is the I can't remember the brand, but it's a good one. You just click the good old button, 125 ml, add a splash of milk.
So you don't need to be doing any grinding this morning. You were pressing buttons.
Pressing buttons, 3 buttons. A button
And
3 times.
and the goodness was just pouring into the cup.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'm on a iced coffee summer kick, and then as soon as it's cool, like I picture when I do my order in the morning, I picture like, am I a little bit cool right now? What would feel nice? So I'm still we woke up this morning, it was 12 degrees, and so fall's coming and we'll go back to hot coffee, but iced coffee right now.
Yeah, I feel like the thing is when you're indoors, I feel like it's always nice to be cozy, but
Mm.
iced coffee is definitely the best when it comes to the summertime. So I can understand that.
So Maria, with Tech Dynamics, can you tell us a little bit about who you are? Any facts, timeline will do, but tell us a little bit about who you are, and then if it happens, go into a little bit of your career journey.
Yeah, sure. So a little bit about Maria outside of Tech Dynamics and in Tech Dynamics. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, that's what I'm
Oh,
asking.
the juicy questions. Okay, so with Tech Dynamics, I am on the sales and marketing side, VP of Sales and Marketing. I've been with Tech Dynamics for about 8 years. When we were actually much smaller in size, so it's been really fun. On the career side, my journey started, I would say my first real adult job was when I was 18. So I was a assistant manager at Guess, the retail store, and that was really fun because they were grooming me to become the store manager. And for a time while I was in university, I thought, okay, maybe this is what I'm gonna do. So I appreciated that a lot. Why I enjoyed that job was obviously you're in a leadership position, so it was all about the numbers, hitting your goals. Because they were sort of grooming me, I got to wear a lot more hats. I got to travel to different stores, learn about the inner workings there. I got to allow my creative juices to really flow. I got to set up the mannequins in the store. So that was cool. Our store actually broke a lot of records in North America. I think we were store 5934. So shout out to us. Um, but I believe that that experience, I guess, is ultimately what got me to Tech Dynamics. And I say that because I was in school, like I said, during the time, to become either a lawyer or a psychiatrist. And clearly, I'm not doing either of those. So I graduated, ended up pivoting into the world of tequila. I managed the operations for Tequila Tromba, which was, or I think still is, the number one tequila company in Canada. So shout out to Eric Brass for building that company. But Eric Brass was my first real mentor. What was so interesting and profound about him was it was a small business, it started grassroots, and we worked alongside together. And again, as small businesses are, you wear a lot of hats. So even though I was running the operations, I got involved in the sales and the marketing and everything else. And from him, I really learned the importance of knowing your product, building a strong network. And um, so that was really cool. And speaking of the network, while I was working there, I got to meet a lot of other people. I kind of had a lot of different collaborations with cigar companies. So it was a different world
Mm.
pre-logistics, let's just say. And
So like in building that brand, like what were some of the things that um, you were part of that helped like a booze brand? How do you build that in Canada? Like you talked about key relationships. What were some of the wins along the way as the brand grew?
Eric's strategy was to befriend every bartender, because if the bartenders liked your alcohol, they're going to pour it. So they even shaped the bottle so that it could be poured by a bartender and it's easier. So what was it? Obviously, you're kind of in the office strategizing, but then it was going out for a lot of lunches. We weren't always necessarily drinking, but we were out at the bar all the time meeting all the bartenders. So it was building that network. And also, again, talking about the network, we worked from Soho House for a year. And that was for me, I felt like that was really exciting. But there was always these restaurant owners, these brand owners, and Eric really got to befriend them, and he kind of taught me how to do that casually. So they would be sitting at our table as we're working on strategies, and naturally, you bring up your brand in the conversation. So I would say it was a lot of those impromptu coffee lunch catch ups at Soho House or at a coffee shop, and then also just going out and saying hello to everybody, shaking a lot of hands, and introducing yourself.
Yeah, in the there's certain things you can and can't do on digital marketing, right, with alcohol, and so I'm guessing that it was a heavy business development relationship side versus like an all-out, different than Guess's strategy, online strategy, right? It's a little bit different that way.
Yeah, it was much more in person. And again, we were still a small company. So it's not like you have these big budgets of a company like Guess. So it was cool. It was my first experience really into entrepreneurship, even though, of course, it's not my company. I was very invested in that company and I loved it. So it was exciting for me.
Cool. And then after that, where'd you go?
And then after that, I was at Tech Dynamics.
How did
That's
that start? How did that start?
how did that start? Well, Edward had been asking me to join for a long time. Um, and I was just so against the logistics industry because I pictured them to be just a bunch of men, old men that were boring. And I was like, I'm in tequila, I'm working with cigars, I'm doing all these things. There's just no way you can get me there. And then you mature, you start realizing you want other things. It's as great as it is to be at the different bars. It's even if you're not drinking, it's not the scene you want to be in. So um, I ended up kind of taking a chance and started in sales as an account executive at Tech Dynamics, and I was instantly hooked. I realized I was totally wrong about the logistics industry. It was actually very sexy and very fun. And so at Tech Dynamics, I started in sales, dabbled a little bit with marketing, and now I'm running the sales and marketing team, which is really fun. It's I'll say the biggest lesson that I've learned here at Tech Dynamics is running a company on integrity. You don't always maybe win every deal, but just being honest and being a good partner, and also keeping innovation and problem solving at the center of everything you do. I think that's kind of been what has allowed us to have a good reputation. I hope we have a good reputation and has allowed us to grow. So I'm not planning on leaving Tech Dynamics anytime soon. It's definitely the ride of
That
a
was my
lifetime.
next question.
No,
I'm just kidding.
if honest, you're like, tell me when. If I wasn't working at Tech Dynamics, I think I'd be trying to start my own thing, if I'm being honest. So I love it here.
It's funny, when you think about like in terms of family business, like once in a while you have a thought, you're like, oh, what would I do? Where would I go? And I haven't quite landed on that. And I don't think it's a bad thing to daydream a little bit, right? Because you know, if you're doing a lot of daydreaming, something might be wrong. And it may be really good. Like there's all sorts of people working jobs right now that are daydreaming about, running their own business. And my daydreams are like very short. Because I'm here and invested and use some of that creative to think about, diversification or um what else could be done. Like I feel very fortunate in that position because I can daydream and maybe even make, something come to fruition in the next year.
Well, how long, remind me, Jordy, like how long have you been involved now?
So we had a household moving division. So we were part of United Van Lines for years, for like 60 years. We're celebrating 80 years this year. And so we were a moving company for 60 years and I came back to the business. So I went to college in Alberta and I was at Carleton for 5 years, studied business, met Heidi. While we were there, we got involved in a Christian club called Power to Change. And way, way back, it used to be called Campus Crusade for Christ. And so we got involved with Power to Change. We went on summer mission trips and had a riot, had a lot of fun. And um, then this idea of like, well, what if we did this? And one or two people challenged us. Yeah, we had a few people challenge us to do it. So we actually graduated and then we did all of our fundraising to like, is it self-funded? And then we joined the organization for 4 years, did a year in East Asia. So I would have been 20 then. And then
Wow.
and then 3 years at the University of Guelph. Shout out Griffin, since we're doing shout outs today. And so then I was kind of like a campus minister of sorts. There was a few actually organizations on campus. And so it was about working together and then working with some of my other um, staff mates. And, I had a target of the business school and athletes. And it was fun. It was worthwhile. I know you just asked me how long I've been back at Wilson. I'm doing more of but it's a really cool,
Please go. It's really interesting.
yeah, it's a really cool window of time to be in a young adult's life. Like 18 to 22 years old, you are like what you said about maturing, you are figuring out like who you are and what you believe and what kind of person, you're just starting to figure out what kind of person you want to be. And some people are all along that spectrum. But when you go to university, there's a certain openness regardless of your background. And so lots and lots of good conversations on campus with students about bigger questions in life and, their character and how they relate to people and relationships and really the foundation of how they're going to make decisions. And so it's like a trajectory time of life, 18 to 22. So it was a really good time. But my wife and I, we still had curiosity towards the business, probably more so me because we had just started having kids then. And, so it was like, I can't shake it. And it wasn't, I've had other moments in my life where it was like a pretty specific kind of calling or direction. And this one wasn't super clear, but I couldn't shake the family business, aspect of it. And so when I came back, it sounds similar to you. Like I came back and then I was all in. It probably took me 2 months. And a big part of it was watching my dad solve problems and invest in people and like, oh, you can influence people here. Like you can make this, you can be part of making this a really great place to work, and that's a work in progress. Obviously, not saying we're there or that we arrived. It's like, oh, you can influence people. So it really only took me 2 months. And when I came back to the business, though, I didn't like tell all the staff like I'm here checking it out. you know, I went into a sales role. Thankful for dads who put their kids in sales roles to
It's a
see
good role to start.
see if they're gonna make it, right? We
Absolutely.
can't trust them with operations yet, but we'll and sales was fun. I think relating to people, I was good at it, and then we actually closed that whole moving division down after 60 some years, and the margins weren't there. There was a little bit of passion still there, but not as much as the good years. And so then I got into operations, and then I spent the next maybe 9 or 10 years in operations um, before I landed here. So how long have you been the VP for?
Um, Close to a year now. Reg retired. Reg is my other mentor. So that was bittersweet, but he retired last October, so close to a year. Yeah,
I feel like him and my father are the same. They're there and ready to advise, ready to support, right? In the background.
absolutely. Oh yeah, I still
Yeah.
hear from Reg a lot, and it's been great. He's retired, but he's still a workhorse. He still wants to be involved. He's still, he's traveling internationally. It's really funny, and he'll be bringing us leads from like I don't know, from like Italy, from the UK, from France. It's like, okay, you guys got to talk. They're really awesome. Met him on a boat while I was in the Mediterranean. You're like, okay, cool.
Thanks for the lead.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool.
Yeah,
No, but I
my
have to say, Jordy, for as long as I've known you, you are always trying to improve and grow. I remember like every time we talk, it's the personal side, and then it's kind of like, well, what are you doing to take one step further? And I have to say that has left a strong impression on me. I know you're doing your MBA. Whenever you go to IWLA conferences and someone's doing one of the sessions, I can always see that you're connecting with them after. So I'm glad to see that you stayed in the family business because you're already doing great things. And I know you're going to only continue to do great things. And I'm glad that we get to work together. So
hmm
it's going to be fun.
yeah. Yeah, likewise. It is a fun spot to be at. Is like what does the next 20 years, I did carry this weight heavy. Maria, like more so last year was feeling a need to determine the future very specifically about where we're headed. And I've gone through some ups and downs with that since, and having more peace with it's coming, it's gonna come, and but a big part of it is just meeting people, and it has been like a heavy duty last year and a half of networking and putting myself in positions to meet people, and it's so worth it. To do that, because the other option is just to bury myself in operations and get involved and undermine our great leaders by digging around a lot. And
I love that.
we've got great leaders, so it does allow me to meet people. I ended up joining a group called Tech Canada, and that's been really fun. And so that's like a CEO forum, and just continue to put yourself around people that have gone through what you're going through, and they've maybe done it a few times. So
Right.
anyways, ditto to you for your learning journey and meeting people and figuring out, okay, meeting these people, it's not just about sales, like it's about, oh, just learn something about the industry, or hey, that would be a good person to call upon, sometime in the future. So it's very much the long game. Yeah, I watched that from a mentor. Like it's the long game.
And it pays off. I mean, okay, it's been 8 years. I guess it's not that long, but I can see that network, those connections that I made even 8 years ago, it's coming to fruition. And to be honest, I know that we're the same in this. Business is important. It's obviously what both of us are passionate about. It's what pays a lot of bills for a lot of different people. So the networking matters, but also on the personal level, it just feeds your soul. It sounds like you like to travel. I always enjoyed traveling before baby, BB. Am I allowed to say that? BB? For the
You're
baby, I
allowed,
was
you're allowed to
traveling a
say
lot
that.
more. And yeah, so that's kind of like now my traveling, it's networking. I'm older.
Um, so for you on like a um, professional development, self-awareness journey, leadership journey, what does VP sound like and feel like for you? How's that been?
It's been an incredible ride. Um, hmm. I think that in a way because our sales team isn't so large. So I think I've been wearing a lot of hats for a lot of time. So it doesn't necessarily feel like the biggest transition per se. But what's been great is being able to feel like you can do what you need to do to feel confident about a decision. In some cases, you're having to research it. Sometimes it's just intuition based on already past experiences and stuff like that. And taking the risk in some cases to make said decision and, being responsible and accountable for it. So the last year we have made lots of changes. We've changed what it's included in our products, the subscriptions we have, we've added new features, and there's been a lot of those decisions that came from me. And so it had the potential to be the absolute worst decision for us. And luckily things have worked out well. So a lot of my day to day has changed too. It's a lot more research, trying to understand the industry, trying to understand the competitors, trying to understand our partners. I have been trying to get out there a lot more and speak with our customers or, just 3PL shippers, brands, retailers in the industry and just really understand what are their pain points, what are they after. So it's been cool. I feel like I understand the industry a little bit better and I've been able to take a little bit more risk, which I enjoy. I think my favorite part about the job is problem solving. So in that comes a little bit of risk. You talked about your dad, like almost like a consulting job. I feel like my dad was always that. And so I talk about being a lawyer and a psychiatrist, but there was always this part of me that's like, oh, it'd be fun to consult. So I feel like I'm kind of playing that role a little bit and it's been fun.
That's cool. Hey, just going back to psychiatrist. So what was the interest there? Were you when you were thinking about that career path, were you on something for yourself, or did you ha have an event, or somebody was really influential? Like, where did psychiatrists come from? Or did you get were you given a list of things you were allowed to do? Uh, and
Actually,
I'm
I
just
was
kidding.
given a list of schools and it was one of them. So I checked that box off. No, you know what? Okay, you and I are the same. We don't necessarily always love the small talk. We like to get deep. I would say that on a personal level, I'm someone who really likes to understand somebody else, like their deepest, darkest desires and interests and fears. And so the psychiatry element came from enjoying that and wanting to be a listening ear. I would hope that that's something people can recognize as maybe my strength, outside of the office. So it was that. It was just wanting to be able to help someone and feeling like I was, at least in my friendships, I think I'm pretty good at that. So that was the psychiatry desire. And like I said, I was totally split with that and law. Law was more, I love to debate and I love to understand many different topics. And so I just really didn't know. So I ended up double majoring. And like I said, it just kind of a throwaway degree because I didn't even get into either of those, but I learned a lot.
Hmm. Um, Maria, you have so in terms of your role, you would have like you'd have sales and account executives and sales and marketing report in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we
And
have account executives, then we have something called solutions architects because obviously we're working, you know this well, we really have to make sure we understand what we're scoping out. Um, we have a marketing team and there's a couple of members there. But the whole sales team itself is small, only about 15 people, whereas what we're really heavy in is in development and support on the company level. So keeps me busy, but the team's sharp. I have to say, I know we were talking about this a little bit, company culture and everything. I've been very blessed to be surrounded by people that are just so knowledgeable and so capable. And so even though from a title standpoint, I'm leading the team, it's constantly learning from each other. And I really mean that. Um, the team just holds its own and they're always bringing in fresh ideas. What I can say that I value from our company culture is that people can just share their opinion and we welcome it seriously. We are a virtual, international, multicultural company. So everyone's got a different perspective. Everyone comes in with a different energy, right? If you have more of our Latin guys, the Spanish, they come in with a lot of flair and warmth, and it's a little bit more spicy, but it's super like person focused or customer focused. And then we have, the other side of the world they're just so smart and they're sharp and they are the guys who can kind of put their head down, maybe a little less spice and a little less warmth per se, but it all blends so perfectly and it ends up coming up with some really interesting conversations, some really interesting problem solving. Like I said, I think that's the biggest thing I've learned from being here at Tech Dynamics. It's always problem solving. I'm sure for you guys it's the same because you're in logistics. I mean, you guys are handling other people's orders and shipments, and so problems come up and you got to figure it out and adapt quick. So
Hmm. A little bit about Techdinamics. Oh, I had a follow-up question to that was how many nations represented, if you know off the top of your head, and then a little bit about Techdinamics when it started and who you guys are today.
you mean like from a company, like where, how many countries our team is in? I don't know, but it's more than 10. I'm trying to like think we have a picture of the map. It's more than 10.
Okay, that's cool. So when did Techdinamics start, and what's happening today with Techdinamics?
Tech Dynamics Integrations, the company I work for, started in, I believe, 2016. But Edward, who's our CEO, CTO, he actually had another baby before Tech Dynamics Integrations called Tech Dynamics Solutions. And they've been around for about 25 years. And they did all the consulting and integration work for the big boys, the Fortune 500 companies like Alemica, HP, Siemens. And so Tech Dynamics Integrations, while it's still young, it took all that technology, some of the network and everything else from the bigger company and just focused on shippers, specifically 3PLs, brands, and retailers. So when we started as a company, it was mostly on the integrations. Think about like EDI, flat file type integrations. Then we naturally evolved into shipping. So now we do shipping tracking auditing, specifically small parcel and LTL. And we moved into order management, which works hand in hand with our integration. So now as a company, we're really providing technology to shippers around the world to help them handle their order management and integrations and final mile shipping, tracking, and auditing. What's new on the roadmap? There's a lot, but maybe just to share the highlights, we recently launched an analytics module, which has been something that a lot of people have been asking us for a long time. That was over a year, and it took us like a year to really think that through. So that officially tier 1 has launched. Tier 2 will launch next month at our user conference. We are exploring AI as we must. And I would say we haven't launched anything yet, but we are doing a lot of research and discovery on that. We're trying to, on the order side, help automate some of the decision making, predictive analytics, understand where inventory should go, understand customer behavior, what SKUs are purchased most often on a certain day, and make certain predictions about that. We also have very strong order management roles. So we're trying to figure out how to help a shipper decide very quickly how to automate anything that they might have on a clipboard. So, add an insurance flag if it's over $500, and if it's going to North Carolina, include a packing slip, but don't ever let it ship to Alaska, and it's got to go in a PO box. Like it can get very complicated, and we're trying to see how AI can just set it up a little bit faster.
Like there's so much criteria that you're managing criteria, and then the path or action that would come from that order, and having someone looking at it and making recommendations and suggestions for what those steps are for order management.
Yeah, and taking it a step further, if you have multiple locations, which you do, and you have an order coming in, and you need to know how to split the order based on location that actually has the inventory. It's the cheapest cost. It's the fastest transit time. You're just layering on this logic. And so we actually have the capability today, but it can be complicated for someone to understand how to set up the logic and how to layer it. So the idea with AI, of course, is it's just an intuitive tool. I don't know how it will work. We're in discovery, but more or less you're saying what I'm saying, and with AI, we'll be able to set it up. And I know a lot of companies are working with different AI tools. I was at the IWLA Fulfillment Forum about 2 weeks ago. Mike DeFabis from IDS, I think DHL bought them, so I don't know if it's like it's a DHL company. He talked about AI and how it's very exciting for the warehouse. And he hit on that too, even on the labor side, right? Knowing how many people need to be in for a specific customer during a specific period of time. So I think AI is all the buzz right now. Um, we're we're learning about it. We're trying to figure out how to implement it, but I don't know how much AI, let's say chat, you've used. There are shortcomings. It's not perfect. I recently went through the exercise. I'm trying to renovate a room, and so I was trying to get it to, recreate a kitchen and say, this is where the fridge is, this is where the is. And, the first 5 minutes was super helpful. It just kept coming and producing these images. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then it was hours to just try and make these tweaks. And it just struggled so much. And, obviously we're reading a lot about AI. It's not totally there yet. In fact, it's not always accurate. So there's also a lot of dangers with having an over reliance on AI, security, and everything else. So, like I said, that's part of why we're not just rushing to implement, and we really want to do our due diligence and make sure we know what we're getting into.
Hmm. So for us, we've engaged a company to it's a firm out of Ottawa, and they're coming in and they did this pre-assessment, then they did some basic training for all of our leaders, and then they spoke with all the departments, looked at problems they're having, and now we've transitioned from them helping create us create a roadmap to now they're going to get in and start to build a few small things. So um, we'll see how it goes. Like there's a lot of talk that it can make the lives easier and things can be built, and we also really need that internal champion as well, which I'm hoping will present itself is somebody to somebody to see how that works, and maybe at a basic or maybe even intermediate or advanced level, and then be able to start figuring out how to apply it. I got inspired by there's a gentleman in Smith Falls. His name's Isaac, and he is in the insurance business. And he saw like enormous opportunity, and he deployed first one person and then a second person, and then from this insurance company, then he spun off and now has a firm that like automate all the documents in insurance and quotations. Like there was so much what he saw as low hanging fruit, and I was like, we're very different industries, but it's worth starting to invest some money now to just like explore it. And so we're kind of just getting going. And but yeah, I feel like the buzz is a little bit too loud, right? In in actuality. But there's going to be some, I think it's going to just, we will see that arc of advancement that happens because it does just provide more capabilities and you can move things quicker. But again, you do need maybe a few champions at first and then a champion to figure out how to do that while keeping security in mind, while keeping, having the right test scenario. There's got to be a few things happening here before you kind of set someone free to do it. But some people in my tech group have already designated full-time people to just exploring processes and potential AI automated fixes. Um, And yeah, so anyways, we're using a contractor to explore it because we also have that sense that there is opportunity. It's we just don't want to be someone who talks about it for years, right? So
Keep me updated on that. I'm curious. I know we'll see each
mm,
other soon again, so I'm
um,
genuinely curious.
I had a question for you. So, as in your role and where your company's at, and where technology in the industry is. Oh, I had one more question before. Sorry, let me back up. Is if we're just for listeners out there, so I'm a 3PL, third party logistics, which means that somebody has chosen to outsource some of their supply chain and not do it in-house, meaning they're not scheduling trucks and running a warehouse and printing labels and putting orders out the door. So there's been some sort of strategic decision to outsource a part of the supply chain for their product or service. Um, and so use us as an example. Let's say we have a clothing company and we have part of that clothing account that we have. So we don't own it. We're a third party on behalf of this clothing company. Some of it goes to stores and then some of it goes to direct to the consumer, like to their home. We have we have a WMS, warehouse management system. Where does Tech Dynamics, how would you explain that? Where does Tech Dynamics support those orders?
Mhm. So we would be the bridge into and out of the WMS. The bridge into the WMS would be on the order side. So that clothing store, um, let's just let's keep dreaming. So they are selling to maybe different, maybe they're a brand and they're selling to different retailers, and maybe they have their own store presence. We actually have a few customers that are like this, and so they're getting a series of, if they want to be able to sell to Costco, they might need to work in ADI. If they want to work with Walmart, maybe they need to work with API. So they're going to have all these different languages that they need to get the orders into your WMS, which has its own format. And so Tech Dynamics would manage that integration. We would integrate the different marketplaces, the different integrations, EDI, flat file, APIs, and have everything translated so that it is loaded into the WMS the way it needs to be. And then, of course, someone like Will's would handle all of the fulfillment, the picking, the packing, managing the inventory, etc. But when it comes to shipping on the final mile side, let's focus a little bit more, maybe going directly to the customer. A 3PL would utilize our software to get the cheapest rate to ensure that the rules are being followed, right? Maybe a specific packing slip, maybe, I don't know, we have to reach up different accounts. It could be third party, looking at different business rules, right? Maybe it's signatures required because this clothing store sells high-end shoes as well. And so you will use our software Tech Ship to generate the labels, Tech Track to track the shipment and get different notifications, know when the order's been inducted and shipped. And then Tech Audit, a 3PL could run their invoices through to see, why did Tech Ship say, which is really, why did the carrier say this is going to cost me $8, but I got a charge for $2.50, so it's more expensive. So we will be able to run a discrepancy report to say, oh, well, you have these overcharges and this is why, right? Bad DIMS, you didn't, I don't know, turn something on. So we we will basically connect into the WMS, pull the information from the WMS to the shipping, and then we update everything back. So then all of those different retailers get the updates back, the different shopping carts get the tracking numbers, and hopefully there's no customer service nightmare because everyone's getting everything they're supposed to have.
Hmm. It's really cool. The creativity, inspiration, technology that has come to our industry, and you guys are definitely right there. I was thinking if you and I were to go back 10 years and walk through the IWLA or any large kind of shipping parcel logistics forum, when we walk through the um, what do you call it when everyone has their booth set up? Vendor,
Yeah, like
the vendor space and probably 10 years ago it was half physical, like forklifts and different racking solutions and now when we walk through it's probably half or three quarters, tech solutions and um figuring out what the problems are and solving it. And not only that, making it super easy to plug in at your current business, meaning if I engage with Tech Dynamics, if I'm a retailer or if I'm a 3PL, I don't have to change my ERP, right?
correct.
And that's about getting where the problem is and providing a solution that can work with a variety of software, system platforms, etc. So, I mean, it's neat. It's exciting where the industry is headed. Um, so for you, how are you doing when it comes? You said BB before baby. So how's the transition? You've got, you know, mom thoughts maybe in the morning or throughout the day,
Yeah.
and also your career and team. How have you found that? How are you doing?
I love being a mom. It's definitely my calling. It brings me the greatest joy, and I really mean that. It's felt very natural, so I'm happy. I have an amazing son. I also have an amazing family, and that includes my in-laws. So thankfully, my in-laws watch my son, which gives me a lot of peace of mind, as you can imagine, that he gets to
Mm.
bond with his grandparents and he's being influenced by his grandparents. And they're Serbian, so they're even trying to teach him Serbian. So it's I'm superstitious. It's been great. Doesn't mean that it's not hard. Doesn't mean that it's not exhausting. And sometimes you can blur the line a little bit with work and family life. Like I explained, I'm here at Tech Dynamics because I love it. It's a true passion of mine. I don't want to say I don't have to be here, but I don't. And so w- being here at Tech Dynamics helps me be like a person. Maria, like I said, feel like I'm making a little bit of an impact, at least in my community. And then being a mom just feeds my soul in a different way. And I know you know this because you have 3 kids, right, Jordy? So you're a dad,
Hmm.
and or Heidi can maybe relate even more to the mom side. But it can be difficult, but I have kind of the perfect setup, at least for now. And so I'm just enjoying. It's worked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, not everyone has the resources available, but if the resources are there, and they have been, for the most part, for Friday and I, and enables you to, whether it's think about what's next, or enables you to make sure the, marriage is rock solid because we know that like everything kind of streams from there,
Yeah.
and
Kid is
right,
number one and everything else is like at the bottom.
yeah.
Yeah.
My oldest is going into high school, so we're definitely at new stage. So Noel will start high school in from when we record this, 2 or 3 weeks. Um, and like the funny thing is, it's like that kid is ready, and that's kind of a weird feeling. Like to not be like, how will the first week, the first day will be, the first day of high school. Everyone, I think a lot of people can remember their first day of high school because it's nerve-wracking. But yeah, she'll figure it out, and so but if there were other challenges in her life and she wasn't ready for that, then that would be that particular area would have some stress to it. And yeah, and so work and watching Heidi, she saw our youngest, who's 4, go off to school, and then she was actually going down the path of either a speech pathologist or a counselor, and I wouldn't say she found logistics sexy, but she was willing to join and and give it a shot, and it's working because you've got someone else someone else to give you some perspective, and she sees things totally different, right? Like I've been in the operations, and like you've got hopefully not narrow, but you've got and then she would come in with, the super obvious question that you hadn't asked yet, and then help you think about it. So
Yeah,
it's been
Heidi's really sharp and really warm. So I can imagine like when it comes to making sure that you're doing the best by your clients and your team and everyone's taken care of, that's probably one of her many strengths. I've always enjoyed my time with Heidi.
mm, me too. Um,
But how long have you guys been married, Jordy?
we're gonna celebrate eight, we're gonna celebrate 18 years in December. Yeah. What about you guys?
4 years. We're still babies. I mean, we've been together for 12 years, but married for 4 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, can you tell me a little bit about Tech Dynamics User Conference and maybe something you're excited about for that?
Yeah, Tech Dynamics User Conference, first ever in Toronto at the Western Harbor, right on the water. It's September 16th to the 18th. We are extremely excited because it's our first ever user conference. We have a lot of team actually flying from overseas, Latam, UK, the US. So that's going to be fun. The social side is probably what I'm most excited about, if I can be really honest, because we have this beautiful yacht we're going to be doing a reception on. And we have the Hockey Hall of Fame. So I'm excited to show the Americans, this it's
Where it all started?
where it all started. Thank you. And then for me, I'm a social person. So I'm just excited to see our customers, which I view in many cases to be friends. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a reunion, a little bit of a friendship and family reunion. Um, but we do launch our new UI, and we're, again, like I talked about, the data and analytics and everything else is going to be the focus. So I'm excited because a lot of the people that are in attendance gave us feedback for what they wanted, and I'm hoping they're going to see something that they're like, oh, that was my idea, or this is something I recommended a year or two or maybe more ago. So it's going to be fun.
You guys have a lot invested in this for internal purposes, external potential clients, the industry. Like you guys have a lot invested in this. I'm excited for you guys. And hey, I got a question. How many people are you going to meet that you haven't met in person yet from your own, like from the Tech Dynamics group?
So from the
Would
tech
it be like one or two, or would it be like 10 people that you've never met in person?
maybe a handful, because I've been to Uruguay. And the ones that are coming have been with us for at least a few years. Mine is actually Denise, who I work with day to day. She's on our marketing side, so I'll be meeting her. A handful of people. I think I've met most. But um, they haven't met some of my Canadian colleagues because they haven't been out to Uruguay. So that'll be a first time meeting. I think there's like 18 Tech Dynamics people coming.
18?
And from overseas, like 12-ish.
Okay. For you folks, do you have a specific development team that is constantly building? Like you've got obviously maintenance or upkeep or repair. And I'm guessing these are two basic technology people talking to each other right now. So
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I am not technical. I'm in sales for a reason.
yeah, where's he going with this question? What are you going to ask me?
I'll say,
Share with me some of the things you're personally developing on the side.
and what
Yeah.
application do you use to figure it out? Uh,
So do you have a development team that's just building? Uh,
yes,
yeah. And where are they
yes.
located?
They're kind of mixed.
All
We
over?
have a lot of, I would say lately, Uruguay has become the country just because they're really sharp people, they're really warm people. So from there, also from Eastern Europe. But we have different product teams. So we have one totally focused on the shipping and one totally focused on tech OMS. Actually, I saw today, I should remember the name, that it looks like we just hired another gentleman who's going to be working on our plugin development. So that team, when I tell you sales is the small team, the development team is probably the team that we're growing the most because, and I don't know anything technical, but you have plugin developers, product developers, you have these integrators, and they all have different specialties. So yeah, they're primarily in Eastern Europe and Uruguay.
Last question for you is what's one leadership aspect that you've kind of got on your radar for yourself and that you would like to work on or grow in? Maybe it doesn't have to be specifically leadership, but just in terms of your professional development. Like, what's one thing that you're looking at that you'd like to hone in on a little bit more or focus on, reflect on in the coming months or year?
If I want to answer it with what specific or like an approach I'm taking, what's more interesting? Maybe.
Whatever you want to share.
So what came to mind was just how I'm shifting my approach again, just learning every day through experience. And so if you know me, I love processes. I'm process driven. I might be an Aries, but I'm a Virgo moon. So I like, you know, a schedule and everything else. But if I've, if I'm adapting my approach in any way, it's probably to kind of sometimes ditch the perfect plan and just focus on the objective. And so my approach this year, actually our fiscal year, because it starts in August, is just enter every conversation, every problem with, well, what are we really trying to achieve? And not how are we supposed to get there? Because the how are we supposed to get there might need to change. How about you? I mean, you definitely, if there's anyone learning from somebody, I'm learning from you. So I would love to know what you're focused on.
What am I focused on? Okay. Um, this year we established an executive team, and so um, that made a lot of sense to me conceptually, and it still does. And now it's about um, how I think a little bit what you're talking about. What do they own? Like they own the objective, and it's not so much about the how. So I think it's about how I can influence that team, how we can influence each other, and I'll speak. There's something that we haven't quite coined the name for yet, but the placeholder name is called the Will's Way, and I really, really want everyone of this organization to know that this year we're going to have these training touch points, and next year we're going to have, and we're we're going from like ad hoc training development pieces to welcome to Will's. We are about making our customers successful, making the Canadian supply chain a better place, making, trying to make things affordable, more affordable. And um, we believe that we're not going to stand still in the role. And so there's going to be training opportunities. And what I would like to see is you can take advantage of pretty much as you want, or you can do, we'll call it the minimum. And I think that those are great opportunities for folks to set themselves apart if there are added pieces. So where we're struggling is to create a lot of, whether it's in-house or external, opportunities for folks in the warehouse. And we need to build a bit of a committee to figure out what those opportunities are for training. And so that could be like something totally related to their work and being able to have the tools to do it better, or it could be a course that they choose that has nothing to do with Will's transfer. What I'm personally learning right now, someone joined our organization recently that is on, I would say, a very, you can just tell this person has been learning in their career. And, you can just tell by the books and quotes and conversations that come to mind. And so this one, Who Not How, is what I'm reading right now. And so that says so in your role, Maria, if you have all these ideas and you try and figure out, okay, I need to start solving, oh man, I can't seem to solve these problems. This book is like making you go like this all the time. Step back. Who can help me with this problem? And then when you find the who, they'll figure out the how. And it relates a little bit to you saying being objective based is like, I can't tell the team how to do it, but here's the objective, and we're going to keep circling back to that. And let's just schedule the next meeting for creativity brainstorming, um, which is not something that have really figured out here, is creativity and brainstorming within operations. It's not that there's not good ideas, but we don't have regular practices right now where you can grab a few people and do brainstorming. So that's another area that I'd be excited about exploring, is whiteboard brainstorming sessions for folks that are in operations. And that, because usually problem solving in operations seems to be a little bit more on the fly, or kind of, and so I would say those two things, who, not how. I find that is particularly helpful for me right now in terms of building a team and being able to and and I have a mentor who speaks this language all the time, and he's always saying, Jordy, how do we work? He says, Jordy, how could we work the team on this, not the problem? How can we work the team, not the problem? So very similar message to who, not how. The irony of this book is the real guy is blurry, but we can
Sullivan.
probably put it up on the screen. Dan Sullivan. He found he didn't write it, so somebody became the how to his who, meaning the concept came from Dan Sullivan, but he had to find a who so he could do it, and the who wrote wrote the book. For me, it actually is a bit freeing. It's like, okay, you're passionate about this idea, but you can't seem to get traction on it yourself, and you're struggling to figure out some of the details. You need a who for this. If you like really care about it, find that who. And one thing we're looking at is what it would look to have a bit of a acquisition strategy for our business, just conceptually, okay? And the my mentor, so not the who, not how guy, but the guy who says work the team, not the problem, is, well, instead of you trying to figure out all the criteria, why don't you invite, a really good M&A person to help you become the who, like sorting out, asking you those questions and facilitating that. And so between those two things, that's, I would say, really coming out. And then for me personally, I have to, since I took over, the other thing in my life is stepping back and saying just is be patient, trust God, have fun. Those are the three things that I try and write over the top of goals is um, be patient, trust God, have fun. And the have fun is really important for me. There was a guy who asked me a year ago who knew me at a younger stage of my life, and he's like, are you still having fun? Like he knows me. And yeah, the answer was uh, it it wasn't no, but it wasn't yes. And so I think I want to keep bringing that to the teams, and yeah, making it a fun place to work. Not because workplaces have to be fun, but when you set the tone, this I think it can help. So those are some of the things I've been thinking through right now. And
You are so generous with your knowledge.
thank you. You as
I'm leaving
well.
it at that. You are so generous with your knowledge. I'm going to be going back to this recording and writing that all the down, like the book, the who, not how. Have fun. What was it? Trusting God and be
Have fun,
patient.
trust God, and be patient.
What's what you say?
They're needed. Thank you though. That's good. Okay, this ended up being like a classic Maria Jordy conversation, like some family, some fun, some leadership, some business stuff. So I just want to thank you so much for your time and sharing a little bit about where you're at and some of the things you're excited about and Tech Dynamics. So really enjoyed our chat today.
Wise, Jordy. I'll see you, September 16th
See you
or some.
soon.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Talk to you later. Bye.